Uncensored Radio. Anna and Renata are back to discuss all things paranormal. From ghost hunting in Jackie O's mansion to touring haunted jails, the girls give us the inside scoop all about the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ghouls and ghosts, whatever you are out there, welcome to a very special Uncensored Radio. We have some super exciting guests back with us for our first guests for 2021. Where are they? Ed and Renata, welcome back.
Hello!
Hi.
Hello! Merry Christmas! Happy New Year!
Welcome to the dark side.
We love it. You know we love it. That's why we had to have you back.
Yeah, we've got our Lord and Master underneath here. As you can
Oh
see.
my gosh!
That's for the evening shows. That's for the adult shows, isn't it?
Yeah.
She comes out for the after dark shows.
So you just
I've been
had
looking.
a little fabulous post.
I've been looking back. Can you believe it's actually only been 4 months since the last time we were on air together? It was October. Yeah. It feels like a lifetime ago because just after, literally the day after you guys were on our show, your world kind of blew up big time. You went from, just being your lovely selves to being Kyle and Jackie O in the morning show and all that kind of stuff. It was very exciting. Yeah, tell us a bit about that. How's all that been treating you now that you're superstar multimedia moguls?
Oh, well. Let's have a discussion about that.
We've got managers now. Yeah, so we were on the Kyle and Jackie O show, which then went global the next day, saying ghost hunters find entity in Jackie O's $11 million house, and they've got our names in there. And interestingly, though, we didn't cop a lot of flack from that. I thought
not yet, anyway.
No, not yet.
That's coming later.
It compounded. So we did get a lot of people that all of a sudden had ghostly problems and wanted us to come and investigate their house.
Yeah, and
randoms.
And just have coffee. They really, it wasn't about actually investigating. They just wanted us to come over.
We'd say, so what's the problem that you need us to come over? And they say, nothing. We just want to see if there's anything in the house. So we'll fly to Adelaide and just walk through your house for you? Sure. Yeah, no.
As long as they're paying for the tickets,
Yeah, well, even then, I don't know. Then we were on Studio 10, and we did a segment with them, and they really enjoyed it, and their new anchorman, or whatever you call them,
Tristan.
wanted to do a ghost. Yeah, Tristan. He's so gorgeous.
Is he a bit gorgeous in real life too?
He is. He's so sweet.
Yeah. So they booked us to go and investigate with them. So then we had like a whole 15-minute special or something on that. And they coined us the Queens of Paranormal, which we are embracing.
Yes.
You are embracing, but there's one title that we're not embracing. Isn't that correct, Renata?
True.
From this young gentleman.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Speaking of Isaac, hello.
Yeah.
Luke thinks he's a little bit nummies.
Nummies, that's my word.
I think he's a little bit nummies as well. We like a bit of Isaac in this building.
That's so weird, Sid, that you brought Isaac up because I could see him on my computer beside me, but he didn't come up on the screen here. It's concerning me.
So Isaac has lovingly termed you the ghost grannies.
I love it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Renata's not a fan.
No.
I would too, bitch. I'd want to cut his ass.
Although we found another one that someone suggested, which we actually like, and they called us
the crazy aunties.
You're like our crazy aunties, and I quite like that one. So we're going to try and change it to the crazy aunties, but I mean, there's a lot of people who have actually embraced the ghost grannies now, and on Isaac's. Because we've been doing these specials with him, in the feed you can see all the comments, and they're saying we love the ghost granny. So it's actually been really good for us, even though she hates it.
Well, look.
No.
Sometimes you look for a brand, and sometimes a brand finds you, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, that brand can go and just piss off as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Like Dizzy Ants or whatever it was, that's fine, right? But
Oh,
like,
Disney.
yeah.
No, I like that.
I'd be
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
bitch, I spend way too much a year on fake screens to be called Granny.
But the thing is, she doesn't. I don't. We spend nothing on our faces.
Okay, the hell with both of you then.
Jeff's trying for an Estee Lauder sponsorship. So
That's right.
It's all natural.
That's right. Let's go high end and go Dior.
Ooh, 'cause we are worth it, girl. We are worth it.
'Cause they're-
So I've got a question about Isaac, because I watched I think one of his first ghost hunting things, and he had people on that weren't you, and then
No,
all of a
that's
sudden,
We take over.
it's like, oh, we like these ones, let's keep them. Was that what happened? Was
Yeah,
that what
basically.
happened? Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
But also, it's his production team, because they came to Maitland Jail. They approached Renata to do a thing there, because you'd met Isaac earlier.
Yeah, I met Isaac quite a few years ago when he was just developing his own brand and looking at doing work for himself. And he asked me to take him around Newcastle and show him some of the haunted sites, because he wanted to do a free little video for me. God love him. And he did, and I did, and that was kind of the last I'd heard from him for many, many years. And then all of a sudden he turned up and just contacted me and said, I'd love to do something at Maitland Jail, and I hear you're the ghost hunter there. Do you remember me from many, many years ago when I asked to do this little video? And I went, sure, we can all arrange that. And from that point on, from that point on, we've just sort of really become friends. So, yeah.
And so we did that episode with him, and the production crew had all flown down from Queensland, because they produce his episodes, and they are also part of the management team that represents Isaac. So that's how we got discovered, if you want to say that, is that they really liked the work we did. They liked the energy that we have, and how we bounce off each other, and saw something more that they could work with to represent, and pitched a few ideas at us, and we're going, really? You know how old we are? Are you sure you want to do this? So we went, well,
you know what sold it to them, girls? You know what sold it to them is when Renata was on the headset, she was just like, talking with like the ghost voices that she could hear through there. What's that device called where you like, it's like stuff in reverse and...
Oh, there's two.
Yeah.
There's the Spirit Box, the SB11, which
I think that was the one.
The radio frequencies, but there is also one that we were using at that time called the Portal Plus, which is the male-female children voices recorded, played backwards and chopped up.
Yes, it was the Portal Plus, because Renata was there like, fuck, go away, fuck. That's what got you the job, girl.
Yeah, I know. I remember them saying something. I don't know what's more disconcerting, that they're having a conversation with ghosts, or that these middle-aged women are swearing at us.
That's right, I remember that.
That's the best part.
I know. Fuck yeah.
Listen, the post you guys had, I think it was yesterday, right? Like 14 hours ago, about people coming and doing reading and how you'll pick random people. And you're like, if you can't handle potty mouths,
Don't be
it's not
here.
for
Don't be
you.
here.
Yeah, like you want some good advice, call us. But if you can't handle getting swore at,
Yeah.
So, sorry, keep going.
No, I was just going to say we tend to do that sometimes. It's all about not wasting people's time and going, no, let's just get to the point.
And for me, it's actually empowering people of our age group who are expected to behave a certain way. And as we're heading into our late 50s and 60s, they're saying, well, you should be sitting at home doing some knitting and reading a new idea and watching TV, and it's time for you to be quiet and retire.
Yes,
And we're like,
go away.
hell no. Hell no.
No, you guys are the ghostly golden girls. Like, you got to
Yeah.
get out there.
Oh, he just rebranded you.
Let me write that down.
Trademark.
I just like
Golden Girls.
20%. You know, that's okay, but whatever.
We'll send you a free T-shirt.
I would love a free T-shirt. You know me, I'm a sucker for anything.
Don't use our company. It doesn't.
We're not talking about the shirts, Jeff. We're not talking about the shirts. So the most exciting thing that's happened so far, I'm keeping a narrative here, was the launching of True Hauntings podcast.
Yeah, I know. It's
So proud.
so pretty.
So this is
And
another
look
thing.
at you guys.
I love that picture. I love it.
That's another thing that our management team came up with. That was their concept and idea. They've bought these high-end Shure microphones and sent them to us and set us up with H4 Zoom recorders and just said, yeah, go for it. We're going, go, what? What? So
Send us that company because we need that equipment.
We will come.
And I need a green screen, True Girls.
With that
It's
comes
nice.
great responsibility. So we spend sleepless nights going, are we doing enough? Are we doing the right thing? Does it
Because
sound
now you got to
right?
answer to someone.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
these guys haven't asked us for a cent. They're investing thousands in us, and we're just like, oh, we've got to be the best we can. And so yeah, that's why we spend a lot of time on our episodes in True Hauntings trying to research it as best we can, and we're so super proud, aren't we?
Oh, it's awesome. It's really good. And we've got some
It
great.
should be. Look, it's amazing to listen to. I love it. Like I'll stick it on in the car after I drop my daughter off to kindy. She's not ready for that yet. But like I just love listening to all the old stories, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and we had somebody have a bit of a dig. That's probably on your list of things of the.
Oh yeah,
people
girl,
have a
I'm
dig.
getting there. I'm getting there.
And they were saying something like, "Oh, we're going to look at all the new things and the new stories and the new this and that, not the old stuff." And obviously they've not listened to the podcast because they would realize that there is so much to be learned from these old cases and where people fucked it up and did things for greed and ego, and we are.
Gee, that sounds
learning
familiar.
So much. I know, right?
That's right, he's gone. See, there has been major changes since last time we talked to you. Trump's gone, so
I know.
you know.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That was you guys. Just,
We don't know him.
I don't know.
Oh, we're still
So-
here in the backlash here because all the impeachment processes are on now. So we're still
Yeah.
sitting there going, what the hell? It wouldn't really surprise me if he just walks away. Who was that? I mean, they
it
won't
will
know.
not happen.
Yeah.
It will not happen.
Oh, I can't stand him. He just makes me so angry. Okay, so I saw one of your posts though the other day about your someplace in Arizona. Was that right? That was
Oh
haunted.
yes, the Birdcage Theatre,
Birdcage, the lovely
Yeah.
soiled
Oh,
doves
yes.
of the
Tombstone.
Yes,
yeah,
Arizona.
yeah,
Tombstone.
and a human fly. Don't forget the human fly. That's hilarious.
Oh, that was gold.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to this episode, Luke and Angel, it was the Birdcage Theatre, right, in Tombstone, Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where she said titties, wasn't it? Titties.
She did say titties, and I commented on it and wrote something, and then our mutual friend Louise is like screenshot it and said, "What is going on this podcast?" I'm like, "Mind your business." Mind your business. But they used to have a performer back in the day who had what was it? Was it like little climbing things and hang from
Yeah.
the roof?
They
Yeah.
had sort of like a shoe built for them that would they had holes in the roof so they could put it on and slide it in and lock it in. So it looked like they were climbing across the roof, but they fell off and died.
So the human fly wasn't around for too long.
Oh. Well, he turned out he couldn't fly.
No, it was one of the women. It was,
Oh,
right?
it
It
was
was one of the
a
women.
woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a woman. Oh,
Yeah.
That's a dampener for your night, isn't it? Just having a nice drink and a carouse, and then splat. But whatever,
Apparently, they were all trained that if they heard a gunshot, they would all fall to the floor
Yeah.
Flat.
I think it's still like that in America now.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
grew
like
up
that
in
in American
1990.
kindergartens.
Oh no.
Oh, with the
true.
kids, when they talked about the kids, when they had to come up with ideas how to keep themselves safe, it was keep a box of rocks so they could throw the rocks at the shooters.
Oh, that's
Oh,
horrible.
bullshit! That kid's an idiot.
I shouldn't laugh.
They keep a gun in their box. They've got a gun down there.
Hey,
Like, I'm going to throw a rock at a gun.
keep things out of your box, please. It's not nice, kid.
Participation trophy for you.
So, just a little bit more on True Hauntings. Have you guys got a list of locations that you pick from, or how do you pick the locations?
Well, we've kind of tried to mix and match. So we're trying to do a few things from Australia, a few things from overseas. We've also added some things where we have already been to those sites, so we can add our own personal stories, just to kind of prove that we have been somewhere and have investigated. We will eventually run out very quickly of places that we have been to, but it's things at the moment that are fairly well known, so that people
throw in an occasional one that nobody's heard of.
That people can identify with and can sit there and go, yeah, I've been to there, or I've heard of that place.
But we sort of figured that if we do the more well-known ones first, then people become engaged because they know it, and then we can slip in the unknown ones, and they'll be curious to know what it is. Whereas we do a lot of unknown, people might not come on. But
Yeah.
Someone's got a car going past. See ya.
We've had 10,000 downloads in just 13 episodes, so we're really chuffed that people are loving it.
I think what's really appealing is that, and different from a lot of other shows, is that mix, like we were talking before, about fact and fiction and humour and the research that you guys do. That must take a long time.
It does.
It does.
We did have spare time until about 3 months ago, and now we have no spare time.
And we've been trying to crack out 2 a week because we knew we were going away next week. So, and then we were in Queensland for a week. So every now and then we've got to try and do 2 a week, and it's exhausting.
And then in between your live streams and Renata's readings and
tours and investigations.
I mean, I'm exhausted doing this twice a week. I don't know how you girls are doing it, but
well, we've got to do it before we die.
Coffee.
That was there was a message this morning. How long are we going for? We need to know how much coffee to have on hand. That's good. I like it. Yeah,
so
but
girls, what's... Oh, sorry.
Luke.
I was going to say, what's been the most uncomfortable experience you guys have had on a hunt recently? Like, since you have been back at it, has there been any like really creep factor kind of experiences at all?
I've actually noticed that when we first started back, it was actually really quiet. And I was talking to Anne and kind of saying it's like, because the living haven't been there, they haven't energized the dead, they haven't given them a lot of energy. So we've had Miss Porter's house, which we have been doing for years and years and years. And we'd go in and do our normal stuff, and we'd sort of get nothing. It was just so quiet. It's started to come back up now, because I think people are coming back into the houses and they're being opened again, and there's activity in there from the living. But those first few weeks and that first month or so, we'd go into Maitland Jail and we'd go into Miss Porter's house, which were the first 2 that opened back for us, and we'd be going, oh my God, it's just so quiet.
We're working our freckles off trying to get some activity happening.
She said freckles, everyone.
I mean, even with the investigation that you did with at my workplace, it was kind of a lot quieter than the last time that we were there. But I think that might be because half the people are a bit, that always makes it harder.
Yeah, and also we had a lot more people there for that one, so it was hard to have that intimate experience, and maybe the entities there were a little shy to engage because there was so many people watching.
I don't know, they kept saying my name.
Of course.
I was like, I
Pension
refuse.
seeker.
I
That's
was-
why.
I can't imagine.
I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you? How very dare you?
But speaking actually of one of your big ones, though, that obviously was the Jackie O one that Steve mentioned earlier. So what was it like in Jackie O's house? So was it like really? Because I know you spoke about like there's the Daily Mail articles and stuff that sort of blew up, but what was it like going into her house? And
Luke wants to know if you went to a medicine cabinet and stuff. You know.
What
I wanna
pills
know.
was she taking?
You're the first person to actually ask us that. Everyone else has been a little bit shy to ask us about the inside, apart from Louise, who wanted to know about the inside of Jackie O's house.
Hi, Louise.
She hasn't moved in there for very long, and so a lot of stuff was still boxed up. No, we didn't go through her medicine cabinet. We had her PA with us at the time, and she was watching us like a hawk. And we had asked, can we video? Because we explained that we needed to capture phenomena on camera if we caught any. And we handed the camera to the PA so that she was in control of what was filmed within the house. And we had to get Jackie O's permission and all that sort of stuff. But it was
apparently Jackie was on the phone the whole time.
worried that her privacy would be breached. And
yeah, so we had to be really, really careful.
we were very mindful to be respectful of that, because it was such a big thing to be allowed to go into someone's house like that.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting house in that there wasn't much of her soul in it yet. So she's just been so busy in flat chat that she hasn't been able to personalise it a lot. And there was so much marble everywhere. It was a little bit like an Italian mausoleum.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Versace.
well, it was an $11 million mansion, Jeff. You would expect a bit of marble.
Also, we were under the gun, under pressure, because we had
10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes, and it was like, okay, get in there and find something. And we were sitting in the car going, what are we going to do? We can't make things up.
So we sort of came up with a quick plan. And I think once they realised that we were following the rules, we were being respectful, that we weren't total idiots, they allowed us to stay for about half an hour. But the fact that we got that EVP of that man there in that amount of time
that's just
blew my mind.
crazy, yeah.
And I was, for the actual show, they didn't play the clip correctly. So all you heard was and they didn't give you a little bit of time beforehand for your ear to adjust, which they needed to do. So it didn't sound as cool as what it actually did. But and those cat balls that were going off on command were like, wow.
Yeah.
And then Jackie backed up what you had said about the girl on the stairs and hearing footsteps and the daughter picking the house, and like Renata nailed it.
Yeah. It was a great segment. That's why I guess it took off everywhere. And it was like in the UK, everywhere reported on it.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy that they only gave you such a short amount of time to try to do this, and you did it though.
That's showbiz, girl.
Yeah, well, I think we had the spirits on our side. They helped us out because we couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah.
So it brings up a good point. Sorry, if you Jeff go.
I was just wondering if you guys have a wish list of places in other countries you want to go.
Yeah, it's the True Hauntings list.
Okay, so tell me what you got.
Well, the next one, just between you and us, don't tell anyone else. We've got a request one. Somebody requested that we look at one, and it's one that we don't know about at all, so we're having to research it ourselves. It's called Lemp Mansion.
Yes, I've heard of Lemp Mansion.
Yeah, so we will be looking at that one shortly. We've started the background research on that. We're going to try and do it today, but we just can't. It's too much, too big.
So
very, very interesting. It's very much about a family that brought beer to America.
And there was something like 6 suicides within the house or within the family in that mansion. So
don't drink, kids.
It's going to be a cracker of an episode, but I would love to take Renata to America. She's never been. And I would love to do all the asylums. Yeah, I know, Jeffrey, we want to come.
What's the one? They have Willard, I think, right? Is that the big one?
Waverly
Is that
Hills.
Waverly
No,
Hills.
I think there's something in Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah,
Somewhere northeast.
There was a
like
documentary
insane
based
asylum.
about that.
yeah, the
The
West
Crafty
Virginia
documentary, I believe.
one. And we want to go to the Conjuring House. We were meant to go to the Conjuring House and do a lockdown with Bill Chappell. So Bill is one of my friends, and he was going to fly over and meet us. He was going to bring new gadgets to play with.
That would have been amazing, guys. But look, it could be later this year.
Yeah,
Steve
well,
keeps
we're gonna-
saying no, it'll be next year, but it could be later this year.
I think we're going to plan for 2022. We're just going to put 2021 out of our mind, concentrate locally in Australia. We've got a lot of travel coming in Australia, which will all be announced shortly.
Mysterious.
All right.
Mysterious.
We've just got to find the padding for ourselves because we're going to have so much shit thrown at us that we need to be padded up before that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the ship fleeing very soon.
What is this?
You'll get there. It's juicy. You'll love it, Jeff. You'll love it.
And I'm
So,
ready for it today.
With all these locations for true hauntings, what are your? I know that you guys go in and make it like an educated final decision, but do you think, as we were just talking about, the places are haunted because they're haunted, or is it because of the energy that people have put into them? Like you were saying recently, with sometimes I think it was the Queen Mary episode.
Yeah.
That
You
sometimes.
have listened to them. Wow.
Girl, I'm not a top fan for no reason.
This bitch.
But sometimes people take that reputation of the haunted location and they run with it and sell it to a big corporation, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what?
We are finding so much through the whole research and going back into the backstory and then working out from when the original haunting happened, what happens next, whether the house is sold, whether another family goes in, whether a site is taken over by a business, and how that is run up to the present day. And it's quite interesting how some of those stories change or grow bigger over the years.
And then people feed into it, they feed their energy into it and actually create the haunting that is supposedly there.
Yeah.
And it has amazed me that some of these hauntings and some of the bigger ones, the reason why they've been deemed a haunting is because a psychic has told a story about what they've picked up in that location. And there is no other evidence whatsoever apart from other people going in and go, oh, I can feel it too. I hear what you're saying. And they're just riding on the back of that psychic and feeding into it. And it's the Amityville was one of those.
I was just going to ask about that one. Like, do you think that is what happened there?
Yeah, pretty much so. We talk about the psychic pajama party that went on. And the actual fact, what's going on with these?
I think we have a haunting happening.
It's slightly changed the controls, okay?
It's Russian roulette. The original person who was meant to come in and investigate at Amityville was Hans Holzer, but he was unavailable. So there was another pair of investigators that were up and coming, and they were asked to come in and investigate, and that was the Warrens. So the Warrens came through and they had a little team of people that they were working within the seance circle, and all of them went around giving their psychic impressions of what was going on in the house. Ed went down into the basement and fought demons.
As you do.
But once again, there was no visual or audio proof that he was battling a demon down there, just what he was telling. So, and then the psychic pajama party upstairs, what was happening with that one? I've got to let her talk.
No, you can talk. It's fine. It's fine. The thing is that when when we go through these stories, we then go back and try and look at whether anything appeared in the newspaper, anyone actually made any other comments, whether there was any sort of background information with regard to what they were finding. Like, for example, with Amityville, they were talking about the old boathouse being built on old Native American burial grounds. There's absolutely no information that says that's true. And so you have all of this conflicting information, and of course anyone is going to believe what they want to believe, but sometimes, if it's a good story, then why try and fix it if you're going to try and make money out of it? So it's been really interesting. It's been a really interesting exercise to delve deeply and go into the actual facts of some of these cases and not just run with the story itself. That's why we tend to do a little bit of history beforehand. So it kind of gives that that filler, that bit of going, well, a real family lived here, or it was a real house, or for example, with the Queen Mary, it was a real ship that was associated with the war, and not only was it a cruise ship, but it was associated with bringing the army and navy back from different countries after they'd done their time, and it just had all of these fantastic layers of history that sometimes are actually more special and more intriguing than the ghost story itself.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you just have to go as far as the episode you guys did on Aokigahara, the Japanese suicide forest.
Yeah, we're proud of
You
that one.
treated that so respectfully, and I got it right, I think. I was like, how am I going to say
I'm
this?
like,
Like, you treated that so respectfully because it is, that's people's lives. That's not just, a random ghost story. That's someone's mother, someone's uncle, someone's grandfather. It's just that still to this day get found there.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, the Aokigahara, got it right, is the Japanese suicide forest, but we're trying to refer to it as the Sea of Trees in respect to the families who have lost people there.
But that's one of those locations that seem to collect souls, as it will. Like, like there's something about that location. It's like Pavalia and the Stanley Hotel. They seem to just be a place where if there's going to be ghosts, that's going to be what happens. I know you don't believe in ley lines and stuff like that, but there just seems to be these certain spots that,
Yeah,
but we find that as well with, and I know I'm going to touch on suicide here just for a moment, but there are also spots all the way around the world where if one person takes their life in a particular spot, it seems to attract other people to that particular spot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have one or two areas like that here in Newcastle. If you go back 150 years, 100 years, where people have done that in the same spot. And so it kind of leads you to think, well, is it the energy of that spot that has now been created that draws people there? Or, what happens? Why? It's like the chicken or the egg. What was there first, the energy or the ghostly experience after someone has done what they do there? So what then draws other people to that spot?
It's so true. Just a story that happened in Brisbane. There was this is years back, where a patient had jumped from a hospital window onto the car park, and then like a year or so later, one of the head nurses did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it was just wasn't like bizarre, I guess, because I guess it was sort of in everyone's mind, but it was just so strange that it was like 2 suicides in the exact same way within a year.
Or is it that people have found that is a successful place to achieve what they want to achieve, so that they know that's where to go?
And they heard the story. Oh, so and so did it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird spot to go to though when you're in that state. Just sort of it's intriguing. I'm not sure whether anyone has actually done any work on why certain places are chosen. Like there's a place in Sydney called the Gap. Is it the Gap?
Yep.
Where they all do it, and you kind of go, well, why there? Other than you kind of, yes, you know you're going to be successful if you go there, but there seems to be then this myth or legend that's built around that place. And we know from research and from parapsychology that you can actually build a ghostly entity or energy the more you feed it too. So is then there an egregore that resides in that spot and literally calls people over that are vulnerable and says, here is the place for you, I will take your pain away. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to sort of look at.
Have you guys gone anywhere where there's been like mass casualties and noticed anything?
We've been to Port Arthur. Port Arthur is still a very, very touchy subject in Australia because it's been not long enough.
There are still guides working at the site that were involved in the shooting there, and the massacre. So they've built the area, the cafe where everybody was killed. They've actually built like this beautiful archway around it and put vines over it and a lovely pond. So it's become a place of remembrance where you can sit quietly and pay your respects to those who lost their lives. But we've been to also places like Leap Castle in Ireland, where there was the oubliette, where people were, they took away carts and carts of bones out of the oubliette.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
See, you girls are brave. I'm so scared. Like when I was in Cambodia, they kept like, go to the killing fields, and I just wouldn't do it. I was like, no, you know what? I can't feel that. I wasn't there for that. I was like, I'm not doing it.
I don't know how Renata would cope in a place like that because she's so more open to all of this than what I am. So I think she'd get assaulted.
I have been to Auschwitz, to the camp in Poland because my mother had spent time there, and when we went to Poland many years ago, she wanted to take me there. And
they're a fun trip.
Yeah, we actually went up into the. Gives me shivers even thinking about it. We went up into where the ovens were, where they would put the bodies in to burn them, and then you go into the museum area where they have like everybody's shoes, and then they have everyone's hair and clothing that they would have taken off people before they put them into the gas chambers. Interestingly enough, the place that really affected me when I was in Poland was, of course, Auschwitz, but not as much as there is a Jewish sector that is in the middle of Warsaw, and they have a museum that you go into that is sort of underground because the Jews were really persecuted in Poland a lot. And I went into that museum and I literally freaked out. It was like someone had taken all the air out of the place and I could not breathe, and I had to walk out of there. I had to rush out of there because I just could not be in that environment.
How old were you approximately when you were there?
I was in my 20s.
Wow.
And we've also been to Hiroshima as well. So we stood on the side of where the bomb went off. And there's this one particular space that has this old building that was still there when the bomb went off. It was just that the bomb went off just above it, and there's like a little it looks like a monument, but it's not because it's part of where the buildings actually were. And it's one of those places where so many people have given so much love to it since it happened that you have this real weird mixture of emotion that sits there because you place yourself into that zone of when it happened, which is atrocious. And then you know that so many people have come and paid their respects and have tried to give love to that space and nurture it and heal it, that then you have that layer over the top. So it's this real crazy energy.
Yeah, there was a very similar feeling at the World Trade Center site. I went there.
It's exactly what I was about to say.
When it was still a hole in the ground, and there was children's art everywhere and missing posters, and all that stuff was still there, and it literally took your breath away. It was like, oh God, like that energy was still. I haven't been back there since, but
Well, you two as New Yorkers, Jeff and Angel, have you been to the site since?
Yes.
And what was it like?
It has a very, like, your heart hurts still. Like, you can sense tons of energy still there. And I got over emotional. Like, you just can't help but feel so much like pain and hurt and anger. So it's definitely an experience I think everyone should have. But if you're very in tune to other people and their feelings, it's very overwhelming. For sure.
But that can actually happen. I actually have PTSD from seeing the planes going into the buildings. I literally cannot watch that because it brings up a series of emotions that I then have to deal with for the next 48 hours. So I literally can't see it. If people bring it up when the anniversary comes up or whatever, I literally have to turn away and put my hands over my ears. I can't watch it. So I can't even imagine what people who were in the country there or having to deal with the outcomes of that must be going through. It must be awful, absolutely awful. Yeah. And
I think the media really ran with that too. Like they just kept playing that footage. Like I remember the night it happened, morning for you guys, where it was just constant for months. Like how traumatizing for the people that were directly involved. Yeah.
I think that's the only time in my life where every single channel on television, every radio station, all was covering. Like you couldn't even put on the kids channel.
We didn't even have Netflix back then.
Yeah, like the kids couldn't even watch that. It was all about what was going on in New York, which was being a few hours away was a little
scary.
Very, very scary.
So I'm going to get all journalistic on your asses, and we're going to go backwards, back in time. Woo! So we'll start with Renata. No. So when did we didn't ask these questions last time we had you on. When did you first realize that you had, an openness to spirit? When did that happen?
It wasn't kind of a realization because I was just a freaky kid right from the very beginning. I was a very troubled child.
Not you.
Never.
You're on the right show.
And so I would have night terrors and scream all night because I was seeing things and having awful dreams. And I was screaming for the first couple of years of my life. Could never sleep with the lights off.
It reminds me of the movie The Sixth Sense. The little boy was seeing things and he was trying to hide from it. Every time you describe this, I think of that.
Yeah.
You were that little boy, and that man was dead the whole
Auschwitz.
time. No.
And I actually had a lot of issues that really kind of did my health in for the first few years. So when I went to school, the first year I went to school I only did half days because I would normally throw up before I went to school. And I think it was all actually anxiety and stress. So
and the energy from the other kids bombarding you all the time, do you think?
When you have a kid that's 4 or 5 and throws up continually because of anxiety and stress, you go, where the hell did that come from?
But also, you had no English when you went to school.
Yeah, I did. I had no English when I went to school.
So that would have been stressful because people are babbling at you and you've got no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because you couldn't talk.
No.
My parents are Polish. They
Gotcha.
So they brought me up in the mother tongue, and I had very limited contact with friends and things. I was always very, very isolated. I would isolate myself. And so when I went to school, I had very little English.
Yeah, I've dragged her out of that closet.
Always weird. And it sort of kind of really started from there. So I did go to a Catholic school, which kind of, that ruined you back then. That
What
kind
the
of
fuck?
traumatized you. Back when nuns were still wearing their habits. Story in itself. And I always felt calmer when I was looking at or dealing with fantasy and stories and looking at ghost stories, fairy tales. I would be the kid, and I say to Anne all the time, when we were taken to the libraries at schools, I'd be in a different section looking at the stories about dragons and fairy tales and everything, and everybody else would be in another section looking at stuff. So I was always different. So it was never really a surprise to me that I would go down this path. I knew I would, because I just didn't fit into the normal box, and I was never going to.
What about you, lovely Anne? What was your how did you get involved in this, all this craziness that you live every day now?
Well, I actually had experiences right from when I was a toddler as well at my grandparents' house at Stockton. And there was, I think it may have been some sort of Indigenous Aboriginal sort of entity or being, and nobody else seemed to be able to see it but me. It would come into the room, it would get under the bed, and the bed would be bouncing.
Hell no.
And I would scream bloody murder. It could have been the imagination of a small toddler. I don't know, but I remember one night, still stuck in my mind, seeing this thing shoot out from under the bed and out through the open window. And my parents gave it a name. We called it the hooker naughty, which is a very funny sounding thing to be under a bed, the hooker naughty.
Well, hookers aren't usually under the bed, are they?
No, but they're definitely naughty.
Depends what your kink is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Depends on the hooker.
So all through high school, I too would be in the library trying to find every ghost story I could possibly could. And there would be the teenage girls that go through their stages of doing seances under the stairs, and I would be standing back going, but what if one of us has the ability to open a door? What happens if we let something through? So I had this awareness that was sort of a little bit old soul sort of thing about the other side, and I had friends that were involved in like a spiritualist type church in my early 20s. They took me along to that. I got involved in the first house rescue in my early 20s, which I really had no idea what I was doing, but this guy channeled the spirit and said, you've got to talk to it to get it out of the house. So I just used my gut instinct and did it, and it worked. And so I was into all of that, and then I had children. And once I had children, I paused for a bit, and then came back to it with more enthusiasm and vigor than ever before. Saw a ghost hunting TV show on my friend's cable channel and went, you can do this with gadgets, because I believe I had ability, but I didn't want to embrace it or acknowledge it because I had this fear attached to it from high school. And so to me, to walk around with gadgets in my hand and say, well, I'm getting some sort of reading here I can't explain, maybe there's an entity, made me feel so much safer than me going, I can feel something really weird here. I think there might be a ghost. So I shut down the psychic aspect of it and went with the gadgets. And then I needed to know more. Everything that I saw, I just needed to know more. And I went down that rabbit hole.
And you found each other, and that's how we get the lovely show and everything.
We found each other at the bottom of the pit.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I was going to ask, ladies, so having a gift, though, does it sort of make it harder? Like when you're interacting with people, like say you're talking with us right now, but you're seeing other things and
is there anyone behind Jeff today?
Is it distracting?
Not for me, because once I am in paranormal investigator mode, I tend to shut down. Although every now and then, like when I'm trying to ask questions or encourage the spirits to come forward, I will come out with something that somebody there will go, because I've unwittingly tapped into something that belongs to them, like at the courthouse the other day. I was we were trying to reenact a scene, and I'm going, you've been brought in here because you were trying to steal someone's pickles. And then we heard this out the back. We had 3 people there that were founding families of this particular town, and we were trying to reenact a court scene from that town. And apparently their family was well known for pickles.
Oh, wow.
So
They were pickle biters, were they?
yeah, they were.
Look, here come people.
Like a gherkin.
So we also had an incident right here in this room a few weeks ago when we were recording the Monte Cristo Homestead podcast, which is out now. And
thank you for the shout out, by the way.
Thank you. You will actually hear on the recording where Anne says that I got a shudder, and then she got a shudder as we was talking about the life of Mrs. Crawley and her connection with her children. And it was literally like Mrs. Crawley's energy had walked in here and said, you better be careful what you talk about, because I'm still here and I'm listening. And we both kind of went, oh.
But you can hear the interaction on the podcast, and we're going, I think we need to shut up about this now. We can feel her here.
Yeah.
But that seems to have happened a couple of times to you, hasn't it? Like you're recording and there'll be a storm, or there'll be the knocking, and we get the Artie Z story.
Yeah.
For those of can you tell that story very quickly, just for those that haven't? Yeah.
Yes. So the room that we are in right now, which is my Oz Paratech room or our seance room, was actually my auntie's bedroom. So my granddaughter, I think, is the 6th or 7th generation to have grown up in this house. And my dad bought the house so that his auntie, who was still living here and renting, because she was so worried what was going to happen. She was in her 70s or 80s, and she was like, what happens to me? They're going to sell this house. So he bought it for her to live in. And he wanted to come and let her know that he had bought the house. And she was very frail. She had a bit skitty. So he used to do this thing where he tapped down the side of the house and say, Auntie Zell, I'm coming. Auntie Zell, it's me. Just coming into the house, because she might be having a nap. And came into the kitchen, couldn't find her, came up to the bedroom, which is this room. This was her bedroom. So tapped on the door and said, Auntie Zell, it's Barry. I just want to let you know I've bought the house. And she sat bolt up in bed, clutched her chest, and died.
Shut up.
No way.
Shut up. No. This bitch just dropped dead because he bought her a house, and then you in the room? Come on.
I wasn't there. Well, we're in the room now, but this is, and it's been the perfect place to be our spiritual center of the house. So I've got goosebumps now. She was a
we gotta get
lovely
to New York. We could go do a show where my grandfather, we'll see if he's hanging out.
Ooh, okay.
Well, you certainly seem to attract a lot of energy. There's been a little bit of drama lately. Online for you two.
Oh, do tell.
So, do you want to talk about what happened? Where should we go first?
Where do you go? The awards, the paranormal awards.
Start with the paranormal awards. Do you want to give? Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown?
Yeah. Look, I'll put my hand up and say that was completely my fault. And
how can it be your fault?
Because I started it. And look, the only thing was I'm scrolling through my mobile phone, and there is a little post that says Paranormal Awards. And Anne and I had said that when we started this, that we would really look at trying to raise our profile. And
we have to, because we're represented now by management. They need us to raise our profile. So it's part of our job.
So if any awards or anything came up, let's just go in it. And let's see what happens. No big deal. No big whoopsie. And so I've kind of gone in there and I said, I'll put my name down. We're putting a name down for the Paranormal Awards. And I've posted it up everywhere going, come on in, guys, let's help these guys.
So there was some stages where they had 18 categories and they wanted people to nominate, and then there would be a short list. So all we've done is, Renata on her page, her Newcastle Ghostbusters page has said, hi guys, we've got this award that's coming up. If you would like to vote for us, here's all the categories. It would mean so much to us if you would like to nominate us. That's how it started.
and then the shit hits the fan. And first of all, we get blamed for actually creating those awards, starting a false Facebook page, and then putting our own selves up and nominating ourselves for all the awards so that we can win them. And we thought,
which bitch started that?
What's the problem?
That's good.
Yeah. And then somebody came onto Renata's post and started to say, this is all ego-based, this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening, it should be a panel that decides this. And look, admittedly, the people who set up the awards didn't really think it through. They haven't had full disclosure, because I understand what they were doing. They were trying to remain anonymous. And so that nobody would be influenced by the people that were running the awards.
Yeah.
And the way to vote was to send in via email. And so there was a few things there that weren't done well, but they were done from a good place. And we didn't know these people at all. We've just seen awards and go, oh, that's cool. Particularly like the Australian Ambassador Award, because we feel that last year we did a lot of international work. So we felt that we had raised the profile of Australian Paranormal, and it would mean a lot to us, that award. So we did ask our community to vote, and we did get accused of starting the page, and these people were horrible. They were really horrible, and we started to get embarrassed at the Australian community that all came on and started to attack these paranormal awards.
The Facebook lynch mob can be vicious. They will just come for you with pitchforks and torches. Jeffrey knows all about
I'll
it.
take care of these bitches. Tag me, and I will go to town. I will fucking listen. You'll have plenty of work, because bitches will be offing themselves left and right by the time.
Jeffrey,
I said it.
Don't know if I want responsibility for that one.
But it's very Australian, that whole tall poppy syndrome thing. Like, people see you doing well and they go,
look, we knew it was
pull them back.
It is Australian, but the interesting thing was that, when you dug deeper, you found that there were many people from all over the world that were coming into the conversation and saying, who gives them the right to award these awards, and who is part of the team that is going to, make the decision.
Who was standing in judgment?
And it was. It was a popularity thing more than anything
and
else.
It should have been named the Popular Paranormal Awards, and that would have just fixed it up.
It wasn't about who is a better investigator. Everyone's ego started to get really burnt and kind of, no, I'm a really good investigator. How can they win against me? I'm the best investigator in the world. But nobody hears my story. I'm not important. No one tells the world how important I am. And that's what it sort of turned around to be. And you go, come on. And it literally was destroying everyone. So
it was embarrassing.
It was really embarrassing.
But
I'm sorry for creating the page. It's my fault.
We eventually worked out who it was. It was somebody from America, and not one person has come on to any of those posts and gone, hey guys, we're sorry for accusing you of that. And I'm just going to leave it sit there. I'm not going to ask them to take it down. I'm going to leave it sit there. But what amused me the most about all of this was that the complaint was that nobody should sit in judgment on anyone else on their ability to be a good paranormal investigator. Nobody should sit in judgment and say how you should behave or what you should do. Then one of the people has gone over and said, this is not on, and that's fine, they can do that, but we're going to create a book for the professional paranormal investigators of Australia to be in. And for you to be in that book, you need to submit to me a 2,000-word essay saying why I should be in that book and she will sit in judgment on who goes in her book. So she's actually set up.
And she's a lazy bitch because she's just going to post all of those essays in the book. Go, oh, there's my book.
Right.
Yeah, but then what concerns me the most about that is that it's the people that she chooses to go into the book. What if, because somebody sees this book and they go, oh, this person has been listed in this book as a professional, oh, it's the whole thing about professional as well, professional paranormal investigator. They choose that person to come and investigate in their house. That person uses their biases and beliefs and what they've watched on Ghost Adventures to judge what's happening and freaks the family out to the point that somebody commits suicide. And that happened in Australia, that somebody freaked out so much about what a paranormal team told them that they committed suicide. So who takes the responsibility? Is it the person that has deemed them to be a professional paranormal investigator? It's just a can of worms, that one. But we're not professionals, so that's okay. We don't need to be in the book.
There's such a crock of shit.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to start the shit flying again because I've brought that up. But, you know, it is what it is.
Well, it was Steve. It was Steve who did that.
It was me.
Come for her.
That's all right.
You don't like those ladies? Fuck off, okay? Those other assholes, they're not real. They're not professionals. They're just schmucks that are pretending. These bitches are the real deal. Fuck off, okay? Don't email us.
The thing in the end of all of this is that when you go into somebody's house and you talk to them about this, you are taking on a very big responsibility. It's a whole different ball game if you are on a site that is known to be haunted. You're out with your team, you're doing stuff, you're experimenting, all of that sort of stuff. If you are in someone's house, it's not experimentation. You're not in there
You're
to
not
experiment.
there for shits and giggles.
You are there to try and give people the best type of information to make them feel safe and secure in their own home. And if you cannot do that, you have no right to be there. And there are things that you do need to know before you go in and get into that type of a zone of being able to assist and help someone. They don't allow paramedics to walk in there just because they've got a car with an alarm on it.
And they've watched lots of the
and they've watched
paramedic
a lot
TV
of
shows.
paramedic TV shows. You need skills. You need a skill set. And so when you are dealing with private cases, there is a particular skill set that you should have under your belt before you walk in and start talking to people about it. And so it is very, very different when you're walking into someone's house and when you're doing paranormal investigations on a site. And yes, you've got a camera in your face and you're trying to be fantastic and you're trying to mind ghosts and entertaining and all of that sort of stuff. So there is a big difference. And I think this is where a line should be drawn. And if you are going to be professional and you are going to be offering advice, then there is at least something that you require to say, no, I'm not an egghead. I'm not an idiot. I kind of do know what I'm talking about. And that just seems to really make people hate you for even saying that. Like, how dare you say I can't go into a house and tell people that they need an exorcism or that they're possessed or whatever. You know, what do you do once you say that to people? Do you just go, oh, thank you very much. I've done my time. It's really great. I've taken video. See you later. You'll find it on YouTube tomorrow. You left people with a dilemma that could really mentally hurt them and create even more damage. So unless you know what to do and unless you know the right words and the right dynamics to work with there, and you can help and assist them right to the very end or lead them to someone that can give them the assistance that they need, don't do it.
Good advice.
We need to get you a little Vera Vents animation. Renata rails against society. That'd be great.
Did we have that last time too? Like,
Look, because, you know, people will get on and say, oh, they're stupid, they're assholes, they don't know anything, because we're trying to be funny.
They're monkeys.
Yeah, and they really don't realise the history that we've had in doing this. I've been doing this for over 30 years. So if I haven't learnt anything over 30 years, I shouldn't be doing it.
And if you're broadcasting, you've got to bring entertainment as well. You can't just
Exactly.
be like, yeah. So I don't understand what their problem is other than
And-
jealousy.
Yeah, and the Anne and Renata brand is a comedy brand, but with knowledge. When
Yeah.
I'm working from Oz Paratech and I'm Anne there, it's a completely different persona because that's all
Right.
about the gadgets and knowledge. But they seem to be lumping it all under, oh, they're funny, they're laughing at things, therefore they've got no knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's a scary time, and now it's like changing more and more, right? So when we first did this show years ago, I owned a daycare, was doing a daycare, the parents knew it. We talked about crazy shit, what was going on, and I'm running a daycare, right? Now you have to be so careful how you
Yeah.
present yourself, what you say, because that's it, right? So it's a kind of a lot for you guys to take on. And then you've
Well-
got these morons that are out fucking dumb award.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
look, we've come to realise that the people who are rallying against this and who are throwing the mud are not our people. We don't need their approval. We don't need to have them on our side. We're happy for them to go and do whatever it is they want to do. Just leave us fucking alone. Yeah, like we're happy doing our thing. It brings us great joy. We love working with the gorgeous people out there who love what we do,
Yeah.
and hopefully are learning something from us as well. I just don't get why people have to jump up and down and say you're not doing it the way I believe it should be done, so therefore you're shit and you can all. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to.
How many of them are men?
Very few,
Very
actually.
few.
Very
Really?
few.
Look, if you have any doubts, I can speak from personal experience. Go and do an investigation with these ladies. They are 100% legit. It's fun
Hey,
games
and
for a
look-
little while, but when it's time to get
2022.
serious and they want to, if they want to show you what they know and help you have an experience or help you understand things. I've never actually been on a better ghost tour than when I've done stuff with you guys.
And look,
So
and you know, Renata, when you brought up the song "The Rose" with me, and I knew straight away
he
that
still
was my
talks
grandmother.
about that.
Yeah, there's no way that anyone could have known that. Nobody.
It's
Like,
look, Luke and Steve, in the end, we have never said and we never will say that we are the only voice or that we are better than anybody else. We are just saying we're adding to the conversation with the knowledge that we know, and take that as if it feels that it is of assistance to you, it can help you, but go and find out information for yourself, question for yourself, and try and work things out for yourself. I'm into empowering others, not disempowering them. I don't want people to follow me and hang on every word I say, because that's ridiculous. You know, go and find out for yourself. But I can assist you and I can tell you what I think from the experience that I have. But go and find out for yourself.
wise words, Renata.
So before we finish up, because we're over time, but I thought we would just play a very quick little game just to lighten things up before we finish. And it's a little game I'm calling Paranormal Password with Anne and Renata. You got an animation out of me. So, I'm going to give you a word, a word or a sentence or a name associated with the paranormal field. I want first reactions.
Oh no, this could get bad.
You ready? Here we go. Shadow people.
Non-manifesting spirit. Somebody that doesn't have the energy to manifest fully. It's not a fucking demon.
And this was my first encounter with actually
Let's be quick,
spirit
Renata.
people. I used to see shadow people in my dreams all the time. That black entity that had no face, and you could tell that it was like human, but you couldn't tell what it was. It scared the
Always
bejesus
stands
out
at the
of me.
bedroom door, that one, doesn't it?
Yeah, it could be your auntie Flo that just wants to tell you to get off your back and stop snoring.
Or just, it could be hooking under the bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
naughty.
All right, here's one especially for Renata. Orbs, go.
Oh God. Orbs are not ghostly entities unless you can visually see them with your eye and they look like a light emitting energy.
It's an egg where a spirit's going to hatch from.
But no, orbs are not ghosts.
All right. Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Praise be.
Blessed be.
Praise be.
They raised the profile in the
They
paranormal
did.
world, and for that we are thankful.
They did, and
Not
they
much
did
else.
what they thought was right.
Okay. Very diplomatic. I like that. Full body apparitions.
Love them to death.
Very rare.
Ooh.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a full-figured apparition, but you know.
I mean, they seem to be the holy grail for every TV show that you watch.
Yeah,
Like, full body
yeah.
apparition. Full
Very,
body
very
apparition. It's like,
rare.
yeah. Once in a
Actually,
blue
that's a
moon,
quick
I'm
question
sure.
though. If someone was big in real life, do their spirit come through as big as well?
It depends
That's
on
a
how they
serious
want to portray
question.
themselves. Yeah, I reckon.
Sorry.
Well, I think I would have to come through in the shape I'm in so that people would acknowledge that it was me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a way of validating that's who it is.
I'll be coming through, body beautiful.
I want that thin with big boobs and a booty.
Voluptuous.
Really?
I've got the
I-
boobs. I don't know about the rest. Hey, that looks
titty
really
ball-
good with the paranormal.
The titty
Yeah.
balls, was it?
It almost puts it in focus when you do.
All right. Zach Baggins.
It's
Well-
a demon. It's a demon.
Well, honestly, with the experiences that we've been having most recently, I'm looking at Zach in a different light because I'm kind of going, he is so high profile. What does he have to do to stay in that position, considering what we have to do in our lowly position at this point in time? So maybe there is something to Zach, but it's kind of just under all of the shit that he has to go through to make all of these programs and things actually still happen. I don't know.
All right.
He's
But
been-
last one's an oldie but a goodie. The TV show Most Haunted.
Poor Yvette. She's
I love
so
Yvette.
traumatized.
I love
Yeah.
Yvette's character development from the beginning where like anything would happen and she'd scream. And then towards the end of the show, she's like, come on, everybody, let's go. And she's like walking down hallways and stuff, but still screaming. But anyway, go.
I love Derek Acora with Mary Loves Dick. That is my
Mary
favorite
Loves
clip.
If you guys don't know what Mary Loves Dick is, there was a very famous psychic in the UK, Derek Acora, who was on Most Haunted. And they suspected that he was not 100%. So they started to plant evidence. And that evidence started to show up in the TV show. And they planted a story about a ghost woman, Mary, who loved someone named Dick. And he kept coming up with Mary Loves Dick in one episode.
Oh, gosh.
So Derek
Actually,
had to go bye-byes.
I got a bonus question for the Americans. Alison Dubois and the Medium TV show.
I actually think that Alison as well has. We actually did. Did you go with me? Yeah, to Alison Dubois' show when she was here in Australia.
No, I wasn't invited.
Oh, okay. I went. I've seen Alison. I've seen Alison Dubois in like real life doing shows.
So have we all if you watched Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, was she on there? Was she?
Oh, mate, you should see it. If you can find it, she gets tanked and just goes at people.
Oh, we're going to be doing that in Tasmania. I'm taking Renata on a wine tasting tour.
I'll find it for you, and I'll send you
Thank you.
the episodes.
The thing that really sort of struck me when I went to see Alison Dubois was she didn't do like big halls or big
She wasn't John Edwards.
big shows. No,
Yeah.
she would sit with probably a maximum of 40 people and just do a few people in that group.
Did she fish?
No, she
Oh.
did. She would still sit there and do all of her writing because that's how she does it. She writes or she scribbles. And I liked her, but once again, it's very different to produce something and
Yeah, what you see on
be
TV is going
entertained,
to be different.
and then they say to you, but you've got to do that for the next 5 or 6 years every single time you're on.
It's a bit like Derek Okora. I think he actually does have ability, but he was in a high pressure position of having to produce stuff
Every time.
single show,
It's
and
just,
so
yeah.
he cheated.
Yeah.
And saying no doesn't make good television, does it?
No.
No.
Well, look at
No,
what
she
was that
doesn't.
one show with the hot guy, with the mysteries all over the Josh or whatever was on
Oh, Josh
Sci-Fi?
Gates.
You
Yeah.
love Destination Truth, Jeff.
Yeah, but he never found anything ever. That show was good. There's no Bigfoot. He couldn't find Sasquatch, none of it. But I watched every motherfucking week.
See,
Hoping he would
there
find his
be-
homosexuality.
there would be a whole bunch of people that would then go, "Oh, he's not a real investigator. He can't find
He
anything.
can't get evidence, therefore he's
Can't-
not real.
Oh yeah, he's shit."
And that's putting yourself into a vulnerable position, which we've had to face ourselves with some filming that we've been doing, and it's interesting. So we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and say that we are wrong sometimes. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway,
So are you dropping hints about some future projects there?
maybe.
Oh.
But there is one documentary series that we have been part of called
Oh,
Space
yeah.
Between, which has just taken out some big international award for the best paranormal documentary against some of the big American ones, apparently, which we are the paranormal investigators and my husband Roman. And we are like heavily featured
it's
throughout
really
the thing.
awesome. It's really
It's
good.
really well done, and they've just confirmed season 2. So we are in the process of filming that as well. But
Andy needs a
Very
link.
cool.
there is some other projects as well. So
I can't wait till you come to New York and I chase you all over the country and we're filming.
Oh, please.
I want to do the American
Please.
version. Okay.
What's
Yes,
the? Yeah, we
please.
have to figure out what the crossover is. It's like uncensored, like ghost grannies or something.
Uncensored in
uncensored.
America.
What was the golden granny? What was the golden girls on? Ghostly golden
Uncensored
girls.
ghostly golden girls. That's a big
Rolls
mouthful
off
TV
the
show.
tongue.
how about just ghostly golden girls uncensored?
Uncensored.
I like
It'll be
that.
I
like,
like
when
that.
Scooby-Doo met up with all the other Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Scooby-Doo and the Globetrotters, but it'll be like
Well,
Batman.
We'll get our people to talk to your people.
This is our people, so
This
yeah.
is our people.
We don't got people. We're not that fancy.
They're my people.
I
Yeah,
just
we
want
did
all
tell
of this
Jeff
to
what to
happen. I want all of this to happen before I need a walker. So hurry up.
It's not far off.
And we just need to wrap up this global pandemic, and then we can all go back to
Fucking
having a
roll
life.
off.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, we are over time, so we probably shouldn't take any more of your time up. So we'll just give you a bit of a farewell, and then we'll be done.
All right. We love talking to you guys.
It's always a hoot, girls, because I'm so glad you've come back, and I'm glad we got to chat more about you guys. Because I think last time we were so focused on blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's really good, and I'm so glad to see you again.
There's always a human story behind the ghost hunting, isn't there?
There is. And the good thing is we're not going anywhere. We're just starting. So heaven help the world.
We'll check back in 4 months and see how global you are by then. How does that sound?
Well, look what's happened between the last one and this one.
Well,
I know, right?
Oh.
Who knows? You might not have time for us by then.
It'll always make time.
I'll be like,
We're
hello. I will not
we're going
give
to
up.
head out. We're going to head out and we're going to buy some awards.
Yeah, you're gonna get some trophy.
And
start.
we're going to have them.
Fucking big trophy.
Yeah.
Put it on the shelf.
We're going to have them here.
You
Oh,
shit
my
if some trophies show up, right?
Huge awards like this big. We'll award them to
Let's
ourselves.
order some trophies.
If you actually win too, you have to be like, you have to do like the Sally Field speech. Be like, you like us. You really like us.
Congratulations, lady. You guys have won Uncensored Radio's Paranormal Investigation.
I want to thank God. I want to thank God. I want world peace, and thank you all, motherfuckers.
I don't think the boss behind you'll be very happy with that acceptance speech. I'm glad he's covered up.
Wrong one.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on again. We will make sure that we pump all your socials and everything.
Thank you.
We cannot wait to see what you guys do next. So if you're not already subscribing to True Hauntings podcast, make sure you get your ass on any podcast app you can. Give them likes, give them subscriptions because they do amazing work.
Thank you, Steve. We'll look forward to your pumping.
Many have written home to say so.
Oh God!
And we're just gonna. I think we might just, end that there. Hey, that's a great one.
He's
All right,
turned
guys,
into the new Luke.
Oh, wow.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you, lady.